Hi, welcome to my usability testing presentation for the Orange County Public Libraries. A brief introduction about the library system. It's a network of 33 branches in Orange County and serves approximately 3 million residents. I've conducted some other evaluations leading up to this usability test. I did a heuristic evaluation, a cognitive walkthrough, and a competitive analysis, and I'll go into each of them to reveal some of the insights and problems I found. In the heuristic evaluation, the most common violation my team found was a violation of visibility of system status and a violation of aesthetic and minimalist design. So this is the homepage for the OC Public Libraries, and the first violation of visibility of system status has to do with the lack of indication of whether you're logged in or not. So it's not easy to see whether you're logged in or where even the login entry point is. And the violation for aesthetic and minimalist design has to do with the density of information that is on the homepage. For the second evaluation method, cognitive walkthrough, this method exposed the fracture between the catalog system and the rest of the library website. So we learned that the website makes it difficult to find library branch addresses and hours when you're inside the catalog. So back on the homepage, we can access the catalog through this link, books, movies, and music. And when we go there, we see we're on a slightly different website. If we compare the headers of the two, the logo is slightly different and it's a different color. And when we run a book search, we're shown the locations of the libraries that have it, but it doesn't make it easy to go back to the main homepage where you actually can see the address and hours. And that was one of the main problems that was revealed through the cognitive walkthrough. The last evaluation method I conducted, the competitive analysis, revealed a few more interesting things. That the library is seen today as more than just a repository of books. That the library has opportunities to create new types of experiences. And that the library needs to match resources with the needs of its specific population. So here we are in the San Diego Public Library website, and we see they have a place where they feature a lot of cultural events. So they have events to expose the public to opera, classical music, they do movie screenings, and specialized classes like this bicycle repair class. And on the Los Angeles Public Library, the takeaway to see here is how they appeal to specific populations like teens, teachers, job seekers, new Americans, right on the homepage in an easy to see place. Usability testing is the next stage of testing, and this is where we take real participants and conduct a task-based test. There are two types, quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative is where we take a large population and where we have questions that we want specific answers to, and we get those answers through metrics like whether they're successful at the task and how long they take at that task. The other type, qualitative, is where we take a small number of users and we look at their behavior, what they say, and what they do during the test. And what we're looking for in this case is insights. My approach to this usability test was to first start with quantitative testing and then do qualitative testing second. So my goal was to use quantitative testing to determine broad problem areas. And then after looking at those results, identify specific areas that I could have users look into when they do the qualitative test. I'm going to go into some of the details for both types of tests. So for the quantitative testing, I use Loop 11 and mTurk. Loop 11 is a platform to create and conduct a usability test, and mTurk is a platform to request people to take your test. I had 73 users in my test, and the metrics I obtained were task success, time on task, and task difficulty ease ratings. For qualitative testing, I used the usertesting.com platform, and I used 3 users. The metrics I obtained were video of the users running through my tasks and comments from the participants doing a read aloud protocol. I've organized my findings into groups based off the natural division between the homepage and the catalog. So within those 2 areas, I've broken down my findings into 7 areas. So within the homepage, number 1, accessing the login page. Number 2, finding specialized resources and services. 3, finding events. 4, finding consolidated library branch information. Within the catalog, number 5, we have determining availability of books. 6, using filters. And finally, 7, moving between the catalog and the library homepage. And I'm going to present my findings by going through each of these 7 areas. Part 1, accessing the login screen. I asked my qualitative testing users to figure out how to access the login screen from the homepage, and here are some of their comments.
Login screens are usually in the top corners. Let's move this a little bit. But I don't see anything there. I might try eLibrary and look to see if there's any login, which I don't see.
Is a library book? No. So I actually don't see the login.
On to the second set of findings. I asked my qualitative users to find the Veterans Resource page.
I'm randomly hovering over these menu items, and under eLibrary, I see Veterans Resources at the very end. But I wouldn't expect that under eLibrary. I just eLibrary sounds like I'm gonna read books online, like a Kindle.
Findings part 3. I asked the users from my qualitative test to give me their impressions of the calendar page. So that's the calendar that you read from the homepage by clicking View All Events. And it pops up and it looks like this.
And it's overwhelming because I just see a bunch of text.
And kind of overwhelming. I feel like there's just a lot of little tiny words.
It's overwhelming, but to have all of the library's events, I mean, I would like to be able to filter by location or something or type of event.
Part 4, finding consolidated library branch information. I asked my Loop 11 users to find a single page that listed all the addresses and hours for all 33 branches. Unfortunately, the library doesn't make this easy because it has separate pages that list different information about all the libraries, and they're found in all different ways. So for example, we have a map that shows where all 33 libraries are located, one with all their emails and phone numbers, and the last page, which is the one I asked them to find, which has all the addresses and hours together. This is a dashboard showing me the metrics from the Loop 11 task for finding that all libraries page. And this task was the number one most failed task, with most of the users failing it. Approximately 70% failed. This task also had the highest number of page views and the highest amount of time spent on the task of all the tasks. In this purple area, I have the users rate how difficult or easy this task was. And ironically, most of the users thought it was easy, even though most of them failed. So I partially attribute this to the number of different pages on the website that show different consolidated information, and how, I guess, easy it was for them to be confused to think they were looking at the right page when it was the wrong one the whole time. In one of the early questions, I asked the Loop 11 users what their experience level with the library was. And I use the answer to that question to be able to partition my results so I can see if there's a difference between how experienced users or novice users act during these tasks. So I want to look at people who actually found the page, and I want to see how the expert users acted during this task. And I see that the page views go really high, and so does the amount of time spent on this task. So I can tell that users really did struggle to find this page. It's not very findable at all. In my qualitative testing, I also asked users to find this page, and here are some of their comments.
This was difficult. This page was not super easy for me to find. Clearly, I clicked around for a while to find it.
Part 5. This is where we start getting inside the catalog. I had a set of tasks where I asked the users to find a book in the catalog and to determine how many total copies were available in the library system, and then determine which specific branches had a copy. This is a dashboard for the data for the two-part task that I just described. The top pie chart shows us the percentage of users who were able to find the total number of copies of the book I asked them to search for. And the bottom one is the percentage of users who were able to determine which individual branches had a copy. So the top pie chart, we see that most users were able to figure out the correct number, 89%. That's not that interesting. But what is interesting is when you compare the bottom pie chart, and we see that there's a larger number of users who were not able to figure out the individual branches. I wanted to dig deeper into this anomaly, so I had the users from my qualitative testing do a similar task, or I asked them to determine which branches had a particular book available. And as one user scanned the list, she said, "I'm assuming check shelf means it's available." And the other users said in similar words that they had to assume what the indicator was for a book being available. Findings part 6. I asked the Loop 11 users to filter the search results in the catalog to show only DVDs, and here are the results. So as we can see, most of the users were successful in filtering the search results to show only DVDs at 70%. And we can also see that over 80% thought it was a very easy task. So what this tells me is that the mechanics for searching in the catalog don't really have a lot of problems and are not worth investigating very much further. Findings part 7, moving between the catalog and the homepage. I thought this was an interesting task to explore because the catalog is usually a separate website from the homepage. And what happens is users end up being trapped in the catalog, not realizing how to get out of it. So as you can see, I'm on the catalog here, and if I click home, it's not the homepage of the library, it's actually the homepage for the catalog. Here's the quantitative data for that task. As we can see, most of the users were able to successfully reach the catalog page, but a large percentage, 40%, were not. So I thought it was interesting to see the task difficulty for the people who failed, and it was pretty surprising to see that over 80% thought it was pretty easy, even though they failed. So what that tells me is that the user doesn't have the right mental model for what is the catalog and how it relates to the website. They think they're going home when they're just on the homepage of the catalog and not the homepage of the actual library website. To further support that point, let's look at some of the quotes from the Loop 11 user tests. When I clicked the logo to return to the home site, it opened a new tab instead of keeping me in the same tab. So he's right, when you click the logo, it does open up a whole new tab just to go to the homepage of the library website. So this is telling me that the user thought something was wrong when this happened. The next one, I feel pretty dumb to end up having a problem finding the home screen at the end of the task. It took me forever to figure out. Now for some recommendations. I'm going to focus on 3 areas: the homepage, the catalog, and the calendar. Now for the homepage, I think we need to remove the left navigation buttons. This area tends to be a blind spot. Users don't naturally look there. Many users said they only focused on the top navigation headers to figure out what they were looking for. So in the task where the users were looking for the account login, there was a big button to be able to log in on the side, and users scrolled up and down and just didn't see it. Next, classify resources and services under better headings in the navigation bar. Don't use eLibrary as a catch-all for specialized resources. People aren't going to associate a social service with the word eLibrary. The library already offers services such as resources for veterans or people looking for a job, and those options are categorized under eLibrary. Instead, what might be a better idea is to use that left navigation area to have options for these resources, similar to the LA Public Library. Thirdly, consolidate different library branch information pages. There are too many views of the different branches, and they're accessible by different paths. These views should actually connect and reference each other instead of being fragmented as they are right now. Recommendations for the catalog. We need to improve the language used in the catalog to indicate availability. Users shouldn't have to assume which technical words mean something is available. Use everyday language instead. Recommendations for the events calendar. Add filters to the main all events calendar to allow users to filter by branch location and event type. As we saw earlier, all 3 users consistently thought that that calendar was overwhelming. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.